Garrett Morgan. Safety masks and traffic signals. When you see traffic lights that stay red in both directions for a few seconds, that's because of Garrett Morgan. When you see firefighters wearing masks that keep them from suffocating when they rush into burning buildings to save those inside, that's because of Garrett Morgan. Garrett Morgan was known for two things. He was a successful businessman and he was a great inventor. Garrett did not have many advantages growing up, but he did not let that stop him. He was motivated and worked to make a better life for himself. He was born in Paris, Kentucky on March 4th, 1877, the seventh of 11 children. The period that followed the Civil War, known as the Reconstruction era, was just ending. Both of his parents, Elizabeth and Sidney, had been enslaved. Elizabeth was the indigenous and African descent and was the daughter of a Baptist minister. Sidney was the son of John Hunt Morgan, a Confederate colonial. Garrett did not have much education. He went to elementary school, but only to the 6th grade. He left home when he was 14 years old and moved to Cincinnati, Ohio. In Cincinnati, he found work as a handyman. He was eventually able to hire a tutor so he could continue learning. In 1895, Garrett moved to Cleveland. There, he found work as a sewing machine repairman for a clothing company. Garrett was the only black repairman with the company. He learned as much as he could about sewing machines and understood how they worked. Garrett saved his earnings in 1907 and opened his own repair shop. Garrett did not stop at owning one business. In 1909, he opened a tailoring shop. He designed most of the machines used in the shop. At one point, he had more than 30 people working for him. He also developed a hair straightening cream and in 1913 established the G.A. Morgan Hair Refining Company. In 1920, he started the Cleveland Call, a newspaper that was printed. He also opened up an all-black county or community club. Garrett's businesses were successful, and he became a wealthy man. That success made it possible for him to finance the inventions he was working on. In 1914, Garrett invented a breathing device. The device was a hood with an attached tube that would fit over a person's head. The tube was long enough to extend through a room filled with black, thick smoke to the center air near the floor where it was fresher. This device, which was called a safety hood, was developed to benefit firefighters. They could breathe freely when they entered a house or building filled with smoke or poisonous gas. Although designed mainly for firefighters, the breathing devices also provided protection to chemists, engineers, and other workers who found themselves working around dangerous fumes and dust particles. Garrett later updated his invention to include a mouthpiece. Garrett's breathing device was badly needed, but it did not gain popularity until 2 years later when there was an explosion that trapped workers in a tunnel. In July 1916, men were working on a tunnel under Lake Erie near Cleveland, Ohio. A sudden gas explosion trapped more than 20 men under mud and rocks. Attempts to rescue the workers failed, and many of the rescuers were injured or killed. Garrett heard about the accident. He went to the area with his newly invented breathing devices. The rescue workers, led by Garrett and wearing his safety hood, were able to go deep into the tunnel and bring out the survivors and the bodies of those who had died. The rescue was a significant feat, but the newspapers wrote stories about it. But Garrett, the black man who led the rescue, was not mentioned. Instead, the papers focused on the safety hoods the rescues wore. Though Garrett did not get any credit for the rescue, he began to get a lot of requests for his hood. Garrett gave many presentations on his safety hood and how it worked. At the time, America was racially segregated, and black people were not welcomed by white people in many areas. It would even have been dangerous for Garrett to claim the invention was his. Often, when Garrett was asked to give presentation, he would hire a white actor to pretend to be the inventor. Garrett would pose as the assistant. In 1922, he made an improvement to the traffic signal. His improvement was the addition of an indicator that would stop traffic in all directions. Before Garrett's invention, automobiles and other vehicles would often collide in the middle of the intersection. The traffic signal would go directly from red to green or green to red, with no pause in between. Vehicles would get stuck in the intersection and pedestrians would not have enough time to cross the street. Garrett's improvement gave the traffic light 3 signals. It had a signal for go, a second signal for stop, and a third signal for all cars in both directions to stop. Garrett's improvement gave vehicles time to clear the intersection, and it gave pedestrians time to get to the other side of the street. Garrett received a patent for his traffic signal in 1923. He later sold the patent for his invention to the General Electric Company. Even today, traffic signals are modified after Garrett's invention, but while Garrett is best known for his improvement to the traffic signal, his greatest invention is the most far-reaching was the safety hood. Garrett's hood with a long tube became the forerunner to the gas mask. Once the effectiveness of Garrett's safety hood became known, the fire departments and other rescue operations became customers. It was sought out by the United States military and was used as the model for the gas mask that we're using today and also back in World War I. He also received orders for his product from fire departments and mine owners across Europe. Gas masks are now used in numerous industries to protect people from smoke, poisonous gases, and other harmful chemicals. They are used by law enforcement, first responders, and in hospitals and factories. The idea behind the technology was used in the production of gas masks today stems from the safety hood invention by Garrett.